I'm going to start building my love bank, and I'm going to start loving really, truly, and I'm going to be telling the truth about myself, and all that is going on. The question you now ask is, so how can we have a relationship when I don't expect my friend or my spouse to do anything? The thing is, you can ask. You see, expectation, not placing expectation doesn't mean you cannot ask. You can ask for things. I don't expect you to do stuff, but I can ask you to do stuff. And the key is that you must ask in love. Okay? So I'm going to talk about asking in love, and then we'll take a break, and then we'll do some things. So asking in love, when we're in a relationship, we can ask. You can say, I need you to help me to do stuff. I need you to help me to do stuff. But even in that asking, we must ask with a mindset that we cannot expect someone to do anything for us. So the first step is asking for help should be in love and with respect. Asking for help should be with love and with respect. Number 2, we must remember that the one we are asking has a right to say no, and we must be willing to accept the no. So I need you to help me take out the garbage. And I can't. I don't feel like taking out garbage tonight. You must be willing to accept it. If you don't accept it, then you've started breaking the other law that says that you can't expect somebody to do anything for you. We'll discuss, we'll expatiate on these things with questions. I'm sure everybody got a sheet of paper to ask questions as they came in. I believe you got a sheet of paper. After a few minutes, we're going to take all those papers from you. So if you have questions, write them down. We'll take from everybody, and then we'll read out as many questions as we can. So the last step about asking in love is, as a result, we learn, when we make up our minds that, I can't force you to do anything, and you have a right to make your choice. Whatever choice you make does not make me stop loving you. Whatever choice you make does not reduce my love for you. Then, whatever you do, I can appreciate it more. And so if you say, would you please help me take the garbage? And I say, sure. Then you appreciate it more. Why? Because I could have said no. One time I met a woman who was complaining about her husband, and I said, does your husband go to work? She said, yes, he works. Does he bring the money home and pay the bills that he ought to pay and bring the money together? She said yes. And does he take care of his children and take them to school when he needs to? She said yes. And then I said, do you appreciate him for all that? She said, but those are his rights, those are his responsibilities. I said, no. There are husbands that don't do any of those. They wake up, get drunk, right from the morning till the evening. And so, but we assume that it's taken for granted, because he's supposed to do that. The same thing with the husband. There are so many things that the spouse does, the wife does, that we don't appreciate. And in other friendships, like, even in relationship with parents, if we think of it, if your parents have been paying your school fees or been supporting you, been loving you, they don't have to. There are parents that never send their children to school. They say, you go learn a trade, go into the farm. So some of these things we take for granted because we don't understand that rule, that law, that we really cannot expect anybody to do anything for us. Whatever they do for us, they are choosing to do it. And so we must appreciate it. Even simple things like just not putting hot water on your head. Even if you have a friend that is just there, they don't do anything, but at least they don't hold on to your neck and start causing you trouble. So appreciate the fact. This one doesn't give me trouble. It's a choice. Appreciate that. Very good. So we'll take a break, watch a movie, just a short clip. I want to take questions. I know that you've gone through some of these things. I just use that to review what we've done yesterday. Maybe some thoughts have come. So if you have a question, write them while we're watching this clip. somebody's going to take those questions, and I'm going to answer them before we touch on a new topic. And what I want to do today is apply some of the principles we started yesterday into some scenarios, and then I'll talk about men-women relationship. How does a man perceive love? How does a woman perceive love? And how can we get better at that? So let's take those questions while we watch the clip. I hope it plays.
Are we going to have two questions? Are you having two questions? Yes. Okay.
It's like you can't see this clip.
Can we play our papers and shoot for the second question?
I want to hear the truth. I have been married for 43 years. I was speaking to a group of a couple thousand preachers, and I told them I have been married 43 years. They stood to their feet in a standing ovation. Now, moments like that are made for me. I am weird. I let them clap. They clap. When they stopped clapping, I said to 7 different women, that makes preachers stop clapping. You have not lived till you watch a couple thousand preachers try to erase their applause. The truth of the matter is that I have been married for 43 years to the same woman. Her name is Diane. I love her with all of my heart. But we have a real marriage. People think that somehow, that because you stand on stage, or because you preach, or because you're a movie star, you got your life all together. It isn't true. Everybody faces a life that has all kinds of problems and conflicts. You wouldn't believe the people that come up to my wife, Diane, and they say to her, oh, it must be so wonderful being married to him. Laughter in your life from morning until night. She throws up on those people. Because we have a guy came up after that very same program, and he came up to me, and remember, I cannot stand to be lied to. He came up to me, and he said, I have been married 43 years. He was doing that with his tongue. He said, my wife and I have never had an argument. I wanted to say that because she did not want to watch you do that with your tongue. Then he said, we have never even raised our voices to one another. And I was getting mad. I'm getting lied to. Then he said, we've never even had a bad thought toward one another. And I could not hold back any longer. I said, you are married to a carrot. You are not married to a human being. Give me a break. I see a lot of young people here, a lot of young men and women. Let me tell you something. A good marriage is not the absence of conflict. A good marriage is two people who love each other and have committed themselves to each other, who have determined to live through the tough times and conflict together. That's a good marriage.
Okay. Okay, good. Questions? Were there? That was just to get us to situate ourselves. Oh, the reason why I put that was for you to collect those. Okay, good stuff. Anyway, if there are no questions, we'll move forward. I'll move on. No questions. Everybody's good. Thank you. What if the partner always says no? What if in your relationship the person says they love you, but they do things that they know annoy you? Should you remain quiet? Should you tell them what you want, or just endure till they change? Very good questions. And the reason why I like those questions is because we're beginning to see that in any relationship, there's another person that is playing. Of course, we know that. And there comes a time where you want the other person to change so that you can have a better relationship. And what we're saying is that if you really want a good change, first you change you. And if we learn to change us, then the other person is supposed to change. But you cannot be sure of it. So if the other person continues to say no, then you have to know what to do with the situation. Depends on the person. So say you want someone to take out the garbage. There is a reason why they say no. So we got to find out why and then deal with it. And if they say no today, will they say no tomorrow? And will they always say no? We're going to find out. So each person is different. Each situation is different. So, but once you make up your mind, I'm loving this person regardless of what they do or do not do, what happens is that you open up your mind now to begin to understand why they operate the way they operate. And that would then help to discern or determine what actions to take. So maybe I'll look deeper into that. Now, what about the person that continues to annoy you? So there's something going on, and somebody is doing something to annoy you. To annoy you. I don't know what. Maybe they just keep leaving the toothpaste lid off. Every day they use the toothpaste, they leave the lid off. And it just gets on your nerves. When you enter into the washroom or to the bathroom to brush your teeth, and you see the toothpaste cap is off. Very annoying. And you tell them, and they just keep doing the same thing over and over again. What do? You tell them. That's the first step. You tell them how it makes you feel. But you also realize that they cannot just change because it makes you feel like that. You have to accept that this person cannot just change simply because it makes me feel, because there's something that makes them do that. And it's been in them for a while. Maybe their mom tried to get them to cover this thing. So it's been like that for a while. So we need to accept that. And then when we accept that, we then we offer to be part of the solution to that challenge. We offer to be part of a solution to that. So those are some of the things I would like us to look at, as we consider some relationships. That's just one. And what happens is if we begin to open up our hearts to allow the other person to be themselves, okay? I can use another illustration, maybe somebody like a woman that complained that the husband, whenever he comes in, takes off his shoes and puts his socks anywhere he likes in the whole room, in the house, anywhere. Today it could be underneath the sofa, the next day it could be in the kitchen. And another day it could be in the laundry room, in the children's room. Anywhere he feels hot in his legs, he takes off the socks and leaves them there. And she just began to get frustrated, began to complain, And the guy would know when she complains for a while, the guy would remember and he would do it and put it where he's supposed to put it in the laundry basket. And then after a few days, he will forget and she will complain again. And you know what? It began to destroy the relationship. And if such person comes to me and asks me what to do, I would say to her, leave him be. He knows what you have said, and he most likely is trying to make an effort, trying to change. And the process of change takes time. And so what do? You've said what you want, you let it evolve, you let it flow. Then you choose whether what you want to do with the relationship. Do you want to live with it and love it, or live with it and hate it, or leave the relationship? Now, most times people will say, no, it's not big enough for me to leave the relationship. Good, so we settle that. The next thing now is do you want to just keep getting frustrated, or you want to start getting, you want to overlook that and move forward? And so what do? You pick up the socks and put it where it's supposed to be, or you leave it there so that he sees it eventually and picks it up. Whichever one makes you happier, you choose to do. Now you may say, oh, but that's not fair. It's going to think that now he's a maid, to be picking up after him. He's supposed to know that he's supposed to pick up, but then leave it there until he picks it up. And you may wonder, how is the relationship going to move forward if we keep allowing our friends or our spouses to do whatever they like? Well, the thing is, there's nobody that is bad in everything. So they may be weak in that area. There are some strengths that they have. And so we must overlook the weaknesses and understand their strengths and appreciate their strengths. And so what happens is that usually when a person complains and says, I don't like this, the way you do that, they make effort. The people make effort. They make effort. But because we have such high expectations, we don't see those efforts. So what I want to say is that when we begin to remove expectation, we become more grateful. And so when we become more grateful, we are able to appreciate the little effort that they are making, the progress. We appreciate every progress, and then we love them more. So we say when we remove all expectations of our partner doing something for us, they become very grateful for everything they do, and then we appreciate their progress. So the key now is in loving the other, we begin to learn to appreciate the progress that they are making. So there's a clip we watched yesterday. I want us to analyze it a little bit. That's where those two people were complaining about time. We're going to analyze that, and we'll talk about workplace scenario, and then we'll move on to some other things. Can you please play the video? And keep writing your questions. I'm going to answer them.
Sorry I'm late. You look great.
Thank you. Let's just go. I'm starving. So, how's your internship going?
Good. Busy. But one of the lead architects took one of my designs, so that was awesome.
That's great. And the chauffeur job?
Michael gets on my last nerve.
Some things never change. So, Monique went to this art show last week at some gallery downtown. This photographer is supposed to be amazing, and apparently he's going to be there tomorrow night, and she was able to get us tickets, so...
Oh, that sounds so great, babe. I can't believe I forgot to tell you this.
What?
I have to cover the late shift at DeLucas tomorrow night.
Are you kidding me? Ben, I thought we had the whole weekend.
I know, we did. This just came at the last minute. One of the guys couldn't do it, and somebody had to cover.
That's fine. It's fine. Since you didn't have any plans with anyone important, I guess it was no big deal for you to cover, right?
Come on, don't be like that.
Don't be like what? What, you want to tell me how I should be now?
Actually, why don't you tell me what would work best for you? Since we're all apparently
only operating off of your schedule right now.
Calm down, people are
I
looking.
don't care if they're looking, let them look. God.
I'll be done.
Sure you want to commit to that, Ben? You may not have time to finish it, given your busy schedule and all. I'll have the slow roasted chicken. Well, thanks for a really great night.
Yeah, totally worth a 2-hour drive.
Well, I don't know why you came in the first place since you knew you didn't have the whole weekend.
Well, I thought I was coming to see my loving girlfriend, but obviously she's not around.
Oh, no, she's around. Oh, she's just waiting around all the time because that's all she does now.
Don't put that on me.
What?
You never come back to see me. I'm always the one that has to drive up here to see you. Half the time when I call you, you're out with your friends and you can't talk anyway, so don't act like a victim sitting around all lonely. Where are you going?
This isn't working, Ben.
What are you saying?
I'm saying that you don't care about us like you used to. I don't feel like I'm important to you at all.
I don't care about us?
No.
I'm the one who has to build his entire schedule around coming up here for us. Okay, I'm not a lapdog. I can't just come to your beck and call. I have responsibilities, Ava. We're not kids anymore.
Oh, okay. You're right. I'm so sorry. I always expect you to come to me, don't I? But maybe that's because you always tell me that you're coming. So, I don't know. Crazy me, I actually believe you. You want to talk about responsibilities, Ben? Relationships are a part of that. They require work.
Yeah, well, maybe if we're really supposed to be together, I wouldn't have to work so hard at it.
Oh, sorry you're so tired. Then maybe we should just take a break from all this hard work.
Maybe we should.
Fine. Good night.
Okay, so let's look at that. Maybe we should hear what people will say. What was the problem? What was the first problem? What was she complaining about? What was his first crime? He came late, right? She was already angry from the beginning. He showed up late, and it looks like it's not the first time. Yes? What else? What was his crime? Yes, he didn't call to say he was going to be late. He didn't even call that he wasn't going to be there the next day. Yes. Yes, what was her crime? What did she do wrong? She was expecting too much. Yes. Yeah, she wasn't appreciating all the other things he was doing. Very good. We're seeing it now. Yes, everyone wants to throw some light into that? Yes?
I mean, maybe he could have checked, kind of her situation, but maybe he could have checked with her if it's okay that he actually, was there really nobody else who could have done it? So maybe if he has the possibility to ask, is it okay if I could cover that shit?
Yes, he didn't, he just took, he took over the relationship and made all the decisions by himself. Fantastic. And you see the cycle. These guys love themselves, it's obvious. They care about each other. But the love is conditional. It's conditional. How do I know it's conditional? Because you complain when you don't get it. It's conditional. So he's been there for her, made her feel nice and happy, and the same for him. But now as they've grown older and things are becoming tougher and work is taking their time, they're discovering that, look, it's not happening. I'm not able to deliver what I was delivering to you before. And so they are going into a cycle. They're getting angry and complaining. And if they don't stop doing that, what's going to happen is that the relationship is going to break. I don't expect that will break the relationship. Somebody's going to call and say, I'm sorry. And maybe they get back, and then they fall into the same cycle again. If you've been in that, you know what I'm talking about. You fall into the same cycle again because they are not learning what they need to learn. What they need to learn is to be able to appreciate and love the other person despite their faults. So let's think about it. How could they have done it differently? He came late and said, sorry, I'm late and all that, but she wasn't happy, let's just go. I'm very hungry. Okay? So, how could she have done? What could she have done differently? Accept the apologies and ask him what happened. See, the thing is, she's so full of why is he so late, and especially if he's always been late, he's late again, that she didn't really think about the fact that this guy, something may have stopped him, something may have been the reason why he was late, and she withdrew her love and affection because he came late. I do not think that that's how he would have received him if he had come on time. Maybe she would have given him a kiss or a smile at least. Okay? So this is what we're talking about. This is what we're talking about. In relationship, we must learn that regardless of how you relate. So if he came late and she welcomed him and still said, welcome, I'm happy to see you, but you are late, what happened? It will not kill the relationship. It will not make him come late next time. But that's what we think. We assume it will make him come late next time. So, let me show him or her that what he's doing is wrong. I'm going to withdraw my affection. I'm going to withdraw my love and so that he can learn. But it doesn't work that way. What happens is that it destroys the relationship. It starts breaking it down. And he also, of course, he made all his mistakes, but as she was complaining, he could have taken hold of, he could have taken charge of the relationship again. See, he had the opportunity to take charge of the relationship. But she was saying, why did you come? If you know, blah, blah, blah. He could have taken. But of course, he didn't have the chance because they were in public and he was ridiculed in public, right? And because he was ridiculed in public, he too now got off. He was now off by the time they were sitting down and, everything got scattered. And so this is what we're talking about. If we're going to build unconditional love true love relationships, then we must make up our minds that regardless of the other person's behavior, we will remain consistent. We will remain consistent in our love for them. Very good. And the same thing can happen in any scenarios. It's not just in the home front. It can happen between a man and a woman in a relationship. It could also happen at work. Okay, so workplace scenarios, I don't know if anybody has, but the thing is, in a workplace, there are some dynamics that are not in a home relationship. So in a workplace, there's a boss. There's somebody who is giving out the instructions, and there's someone who's receiving it. And as a boss, there's a way you love your employees unconditionally, and as the one being under a subordinate, there's a way you can react. But the whole essence, like I said, in any relationship is the benefit of the other. The moment you put that in perspective, you would begin to know how to react. If the person that is giving out the work is being rude, and disruptive, and you sense in your heart that there's a way you will respond that will help him or help her, then you have an obligation to do so. But if you know that your response is only going to cause chaos or kick you out of the job, then you withdraw and withhold that so that you can have a better opportunity to help the person. Always what will be at the back of your mind is, I want to be of help to this person. I want to be of benefit to this person. Now, sometimes your decision will not be based on the person, but on the other people that are around you. You may need to make a decision that would affect others. You may decide to say, you know what, if we continue to allow this person to be a terror, then everybody is going to suffer. So let's stand up together and say no to this. But usually in relationship at work, because you don't have to go home with the person, it's a little bit of a different dynamic. You can leave the relationship sometimes. You can you can take a pause from the relationship, but in a home relationship it's different. So, it's still the same principles. Even with siblings, with parents, it's the same principles. With in-laws, it's the same principles. What's the principle? You want what is best for them. You want everybody that you are relating with to feel uplifted during the relationship. The relationship with you should uplift them, should not tear them down, should not make them feel smaller. It should make them feel stronger, bigger, well accepted. That's the idea. So moving on, let me talk about, I want to take some time now tonight to talk about relationship between the man and a woman. Now, it can be any man and any woman, but I will use some examples from the home because we all, we are in a home. You have brothers, you have father, you have mother, you have sons, you have daughters, the same relationship. It's the same principles, and if we master them, it works better because we're talking about loving one another. And how does love look to different people? So love between a man and a woman. Number one, men understand love as respect. Okay? A man, when you say you love a man, what he understands as love is what? Respect. And women understand love as care and attention. Of course, both need both. A woman needs respect, but the way a woman understands respect is more of care and attention, and love as care and attention. So men just, they see and understand love more as respect, and there are exceptions to this rule, but in general. So what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is that when you tell a man, I love you, when a man hears a woman say, I love you, what he thinks in his mind is that she respects him. She thinks that he is good, that he is the man, he is strong, he's able to do a lot. That's how the man is wired. And that's how we are. That's how all men are, even the little boys are. And girls, when a man says to a girl, I love you, what she expects is care and attention. So I'm going to just highlight some points and then we'll break it up. The first thing for what love means to a woman, so I titled Love Women version, is she wants to feel cared for. So if you're in a relationship with a woman, she wants to feel cared for. She wants to know that you see her and have a need for her. That she's not just one of the toys that the man has collected. A woman wants to connect with the man until a problem is resolved. So if there's an issue, they want to solve the problem by connection. Let's talk it out. Let's be here and deal with it. That's why women will gather together and talk and cry together and laugh together and say, I'm going to the washroom. And say, let me go with you. Women love to connect. I never seen a man do that. I'm going to the washroom. Okay, no problem. But I've seen women do that. I'm going to the washroom. Okay, no problem. I'll come with you. Then they go and do some other touch-up while the other one is doing whatever they do. But women love to what? Connect all the time. But guys don't understand it that way. So she wants to feel that she's a significant part of your life, She wants to know what you're thinking about while you're at work. She doesn't mind calling you and say, what are you thinking about? My wife calls me and asks me, what are you doing? I say, I'm talking to you. But what she really meant is, what were you doing while I was not there? But I like to always answer, I'm talking to you. That's how the woman is. She loves to think or feel that while she was not there, you were thinking about her. She loves that. So she wants to feel that she's a significant part of her life. She wants to be made to laugh. She wants to be hugged, cuddled, and pleasantly surprised. That's what love is. The reason why I'm adding this to the presentation is because, when we talk about loving, after a while, people then say, okay, good. So what does that, how do I do that now? That's why I'm spelling it out in general. So if you, even if the woman is just, even if your boss at work, the same thing, doesn't make a difference. You can always still express, once you've understood that, then you can understand how to deal with that woman. She would always be happy when you appreciate the work that she's doing. Not just the work, but the beauty of the work. You know, the thoughtfulness that is involved, the arrangements that is involved. And if you're able to do that, you get a better relationship. Why? Because that's how they wired. They want to be cared for. They want to be noticed. They want to know that they are not just irrelevant. Everybody wants to be relevant. Even a man wants to be relevant, but in different ways. Love now, in man's version, he wants to be respected. Respected. He wants his wife to see him as wise, not stupid. The moment you make a man feel stupid, you kill the man. No man wants to feel stupid. He wants her to be his greatest cheerleader. Urge him on. Go on. You can kill all my enemies. Even if he doesn't have any strength, he will try his best. The man knows that this giant is going to kill him. But because the wife said, I know, man, you can do it. He will go and be killed. But that's how the man is wired. That's how he feels loved. You know? He wants her to be proud of him. He wants to have his space. Just like the woman wants to connect, the guy wants to have his space. You know, when he says, okay, let's forget about it, he wants us to forget about it. You know, that topic is in, I don't feel like talking about that topic right now. He really means it. But sometimes the women don't understand. No, let's talk about, hey, let's stop for right now. Right now, let's just leave it. Just believe that he means it. That's how he feels. Like if you just drop it, next day you can pick it up. That's how it works. When men are hanging out with themselves and they're arguing and the guy says, okay, let's stop it here, they understand what that means. That means let's stop it here because the next thing is going to happen is that blows are going to come out and someone's eye is going to become black and police may come in and we don't want to do that. We are friends. We don't want to do that. So let's just stop right now. So when the guy says, I need my space, he needs his space. That's how he feels love. He wants to be seen as being able to make good and what? Adequate decisions. So the key is the way a man perceives love is different from the way a woman perceives love. And because there's this difference, we tend to step on each other's toes. We tend to get each other into a problem. So the woman is not feeling cared for. She's not feeling as if she's valued or a part of his life. Or she's not feeling as if she's contributing enough into a relationship. So what happens is that she begins to act disrespectfully to him. See what she did? Did you see that video? So she's angry that this guy doesn't even care about my time. He decides to take a shift on the day that he's supposed to be with me. Okay? And he's now telling me he doesn't have time. And so she got angry. Now when she got angry, what did she do? She disrespected him. How did she she in front of the waiter, she said, you know, maybe you're not even going to commit to that. That's the worst thing you can do to a man. And so that's what makes a man to just go crazy. Why? Because they don't handle disrespect well. It chokes them. That's love. You withheld love, just like you try to choke somebody. And so that's what she did in that movie, and that's exactly what happens. So now when she does that, what he will do is he will also react in unloving ways. He begins to act in ways that doesn't show care. So what he does, most times the man will withdraw. You know, the man will withdraw. He will disappear. You won't see him anymore. If you do that, he will withdraw. That's why he says, maybe I'm working too hard to keep this thing. He's beginning to want to run away from the relationship because he's been choked in the relationship. And the choke is that there's no respect. There's no respect. The way he's been addressed. Now, many times in relationship, the reason why we do this cycle, you know, I'm not being loved, so I disrespect you. I'm not being respected, so I don't love you. The reason why we fall into that is because we have not yet learned to love the other person regardless of their behavior. Regardless. So if the person doesn't love, let's say it's the woman, it's the man that is complaining, comes to a realization that, my relationship is not the way it ought to be, and he's the one complaining, and says, this woman is not respecting me. I tell her to do something that I don't like this. She doesn't listen to me. I'm trying to tell her that this how she's just talking to me anyhow. I'm just don't care about, I'm not just even going to come home late. I come any time I like. He should wake up and say, you know what? Regardless of what she's doing, I'm going to love her. And that's how you break that cycle. You just love, and you love the way she wants to be loved. And if you can do that, the cycle is restored. You see, the other person begins to react nicely and respectfully. So when a woman is being loved, she automatically respects. And a man is being respected, he automatically begins to love. And so anybody that wants to reset their marriage can start from respecting the man or loving their wife. Something has to be done unconditionally, regardless of the behavior of the other person. But that does not mean that there's not going to be communication. That does not mean there's not going to be discussion. That does not mean that there's not going to be conflicts. All these things will still come, but the idea is that I will continue to love you and continue to act towards you with respect or with care and attention, regardless of the way you behave or act towards me. I will continue to give you my very best, regardless of the way you act or respond towards me. And once you begin, as a person learns to do that, he begins to reap the reward. Now, the key is that, the problem though, is that if you don't have enough love in your own life, you will not be able to handle that. The disrespect may become too much, you can't handle it. Or the lack of care and attention may become too much, you'll not be able to handle it. So how do you balance that out? You begin to find people in your life who can pour unconditional love into you. You begin to find people in your life who can love you the way you are. And how do you get that love? By telling the truth. You see, you can get love by telling the truth to people around you. Find people and tell the truth about yourself to them. Tell them about your mistakes. Tell them about your concerns. Tell them about the things you've been. For example, you could go, maybe after this seminar, you could talk to someone and say, you know what, I've been somewhere this weekend, and I realized that all this while I have been really, really mean to my husband. I've not respected him as I ought to. That's fantastic. Once you say that, and the person that you're saying it to, receives it and say, you know what, I'm glad that you have known that, you feel free, you feel loved. Because they've accepted you the way you are. You've opened your mouth and you've declared your weakness, and they've accepted you. You feel loved. When you get back home, you're able to deal with it better. This is how we build love. And this is how our banks get stronger and stronger. And in any relationship, so even if it's in the family relationship, I've seen relationships where, you're in a family where everybody is competing with each other. Everybody is competing. If you do one thing, another person wants to do it better, another person wants to do it more, or parents are always demanding, and you must do this, you must do that. There's a way to break that cycle. A way to break that cycle is tell the truth. Tell them exactly how it is. Some people may react, some people may not be happy, some may say no, but just be yourself. And eventually, once you begin to tell the truth, you begin to see that you are resetting every cycle. As you tell the truth about yourself, you begin to feel the love more. And as you feel the love, you're able to give the same kind of love. Okay? Thank you. So let's take some other questions, and then while we're writing those questions, and I'll then let's watch a clip, and then we'll close. Well, we'll take all the questions, and then we'll prepare for tomorrow. If you have questions, just submit them, and then I'll start dealing with them. Before the questions, there's a clip there. Take a break.
There are some funny and some things that aren't so funny. And I decided that tonight, rather than to tell you about these things, I'd just show you. Show and tell. Goes a little something like this.
Diane was 75.
But thank you very much.
Thank you, Shauna. It's been a
Love you.
delight.
Thank
God
you
bless
very
you.
much.
Okay. Anyway, all that just to show to you that the way men and women process things are different. And if you want something, say it. Okay, let's go on. Some questions here. What do you do when you feel like your partner is not as invested in the relationship as you are, especially if you feel like this lack of investment from them is draining you? Okay, so let me just take that out. So if someone is in a relationship, I'm assuming let's start, there are different relationships. So we'll take relationship before marriage, before commitment. So if there's a relationship before marriage and you're discovering that you are more invested in the relationship than your partner, that means you feel that you are doing a lot more. You are the one driving all the way down, like that guy was saying, doing all that stuff, and the other person is not doing their part. Or you're the one calling and calling and calling, and the other person is not calling you back, or is calling once in a while, and you discover that you're being drained in this relationship. What do you do? Like we said, you have three choices. You always have those three choices. And like we discussed, the three choices, you don't have to choose the living option. The living option is always the last one. The best option is to live with it and like it. But because you're not yet committed to the relationship, the living option comes up too, okay? And if you discover that the person that you're in a relationship with is not interested in that relationship, is not willing to continue with you in that relationship, then you can't force them for sure. You can pull back. But what I discover is that when we have this kind of situation is that we are not being ourselves. We are not telling the truth. We are making efforts to please the other outside our norm. So if you're telling the truth, you're being yourself, then there's not going to be a draining in the investment. When you are pleasing, when you are trying to do what is not naturally yours, when you are trying to sell love to the other person the way they want to buy it, what happens is that's when you feel drained by a relationship. Any relationship that is draining you is because you are being forced or you are being antagonized for being yourself. And so if that's the case, you need to consistently be, truthful to yourself and to the person. Tell them exactly how you are. Tell them exactly what your challenges are. Tell them exactly what you are struggling with, and watch them grow with you in it. Personally, I believe that a relationship should naturally grow towards marriage. It should not be forced. It should grow towards marriage. You should love each other to the point where you say, you know what, we want to lock this up because we can't do without each other. We can't do without. If your relationship is based on fear or is based on, I don't want the person to get angry, I don't want them to feel bad, then it's going to be a strain and a drain. And so that's what I would say to that. So what do you do when you really feel? Then you talk. The first thing is to say to the person, you know what? I feel that you are not investing in this relationship as you ought to. And listen to what they have to say. And if they say to themselves, if they say to you, I am. This is what's happening at this point in my life. Then you have a choice to believe them or not. And if you decide, okay, I'm going to believe them, then you need to decide, so what am I going to do with that response? So they are busy at this point. How are you going to help them? You speak. You bring your heart into this situation, and you get a better response. So I'll leave that. The reason why we have difficulties with these things is that it's sometimes difficult to really tell somebody your real feeling about something because you don't want to feel desperate. and you don't want them to look down on you. But it's only going to be a mess if you don't just tell as it is. I feel that this relationship is causing me too much harm. Now, sometimes you cannot, maybe in a relationship with parent. So in a relationship with parents, you're with a parent that each time you call them, they begin to say something like, all your brothers have sent me some money. When are you going to send yours? So that can be very strenuous and difficult. But the time would have to come when you would have to say, the reason why I'm always defining difficult, every time I pick up the phone to call you, my heart starts beating. Because I know you are going to say, my brothers have sent you something and have not sent you something. It makes me really feel, and you tell them what it means, what it makes you feel. It may be difficult, but it will strengthen the relationship because then they realize what they're doing is causing you strain or harm. Okay, I hope I was able to answer that. Now, the next question says, is it really wrong to expect certain behaviors from the other person in a relationship? Example, spouses promise to be faithful to each other. What is wrong in expecting the partner to fulfill certain responsibilities? Very, very good. It's not wrong to expect a person to fulfill their promise. However, we still have to give them the room to do so because they are human. Okay? So, for example, in the situation, a man or a woman have committed themselves to be faithful. They must commit to that. There's no excuse for that. There's no excuse. You're faithful to your spouse, faithful to the one that you promised to be faithful to. And that's just that. Now, in some situations, though, we discover that somebody has failed in that relationship. They failed. They somehow got distracted and they failed. Now, the question is, what do you do? I haven't discovered that somebody has failed. Now, if someone has failed, you have a choice, 3 choices. It's always the same 3 choices. And once you choose, I'm not going to leave, then the next other reasonable choice is to love it. So what do you do to love it? You enter into the situation and be part of the solution. You speak to the situation. You say, this is what you did. This is how it hurt. These are some things. What are some things we can do to remedy this situation? Now, in the case of marriage also, you may say, okay, but I expect them to do their part in providing money to raise the family. I expect them to do their part in providing support for the children. I expect the other person to do his part in building the home. Yes, the other person is expected to do their part. However, even if they are failing in that, we must remember that they are not God and they can fail. So we must be prepared to continue to love them and respect them and stand with them to fulfill their part of the situation, of the commitment. This is how we build. If we tell someone, because you promised, then you must do it, it doesn't move the relationship. What's going to happen is that you're going to fail, and you're going to say you failed, and then they're going to fail again, and you're going to say you failed, and then you're going to destroy the relationship. But if you make up your mind that, even if you failed, I'm going to stand with you to help you so you don't fail. What can I do? How can I stand with you to overcome this difficulty? That's when we begin to see movement. It happens even amongst us as children of God or as friends. We must be willing to stand with one another. If I relate with you in a way that doesn't please you, maybe you give me your stuff and I throw it away, I lose it. Or someone steals it from me. Anyhow, whatever happens. And I don't bother to tell you until you ask me. Then you have to speak to me and say, you know what? I gave you my stuff. You threw it away. Or you lost it. Or someone stole it from me. But you should have called me. So that is okay. But once we lay down and establish that, we must also recognize the fact that that individual is not God. That individual is fallible. And we then compensate for that by standing with them to overcome the challenge, to overcome their weakness. And they feel that. They feel us coming alongside them to overcome. Then you build a stronger love relationship. You find that the joy in your life is not sucked out. Remember, we started this series thinking about the fact that you evaluated your relationship and discovered that there's a problem. You are not where you ought to be, and you want to move it to where it ought to be. And if you're thinking that way, I want to move my relationship to a better relationship, a more joyful. I want to be more joyful in my relationship. I don't want to cry. I don't want to feel sad. I don't want to feel oppressed. Then these are the actions that we must learn to take. If you want to continue being right, I'm right, I did the right thing, I'm being fair, you're going to be fair, but you will have no relationship. So that's what happens. You can be fair, you can be right. This guy he has never done anything in the house, and so I kicked him out. Yeah, you kicked him out, but you are now alone. So that's what we're talking about. If you say, I don't want to be alone, I want to build a relationship, there's a way to work with the other person such that they are not continue to hurt you. You can now strengthen their strengths and build something that is stronger, and that you can feel loved and you can love the other person. So that's that. Next question. How do you know when your choice to leave a relationship is not just selfishness or the proof of your conditional love to your partner or the person you are in relationship with? Very good. Every time a person decides to leave a relationship because of somebody's habit or behavior, that's to show that I can't handle the way you are and I'm leaving. So it's conditional. It's obviously conditional. Unconditional says, I continue to love you. But except when that love is dangerous to your health or dangerous to your life. In that case, you pull out and continue to love from a distance. And it can be done. To love from a distance means you care, you still devote your resources as much as you can to help the person, but you don't allow their toxic behavior to destroy you. Okay? So you can pull yourself away from relationship, but you don't completely cut them off. A cutting off every time if you say every time I'm uncomfortable with relationship, my choice is to leave. Although you have that choice and I can't take it from you, but every time you make that your choice, that means your relationship, of course, is conditioned on whatever it is that you say. For example, if you say, if you're not going to work and earn so much money, then I can't marry you. I only marry people who are earning at least $60,000 and up. Then it's conditioned on that. There's no doubt about that. Or if you say, if you can't be buying me flowers at least once every 2 months when we are courting, then I know you're not going to love me when we are married. I'm going to just break that relationship. Well, it's conditional. So that question is correct. If you leave, every time you actually try to leave a relationship because of the person's behavior, then you are trying to say that my love for you my relationship is based on that condition. Now, take note that relationships always based on certain conditions. It's love that is not based on conditions. Okay? Relationships are based on conditions. But love is not based on conditions. So if a person says, based on the fact that you do not love God, you do not care, I'm not going to be able to marry you, that's all right. But the relationship doesn't have to stop. We can still talk and nice, but we're not going to get married. So marital relationship based on conditions, for sure. Work relationship based on conditions. Business partnership based on conditions. So those are based on conditions. But what we're saying is not based on conditions is what? Love. Love should be unconditional. No matter who they are, what religion they are, what type of way they behave, we must continue to love them the same way. The same way. The only difference is that we will be true to ourselves, so they may not receive it. So for example, some people say to me, how do you expect me to relate with someone who doesn't have the same belief as me? Well, you relate with them the way you believe. They now have a choice to say they don't want you to relate like that. If they say, pray for me, you pray for them in the name of Jesus. And I say, no, I don't want you to pray for me in the name of Jesus. Say, that's the only name I know how to pray. If they invite you to their party, you go. And if you want to pray there and they ask you to pray, you pray. If you don't feel like praying, no. If you don't want to go to the party, you don't go. You continue the relationship regardless of what they believe or what they do, but you be true to yourself. You be true to yourself. Thank you. I hope I've answered that question. Next one. What if somebody has a problem but doesn't want the partner to be a solution to that problem? Now, I would need like a scenario for that. What if somebody has a problem? I'm assuming maybe if somebody has a challenge in their life and they wouldn't want their partner to know or to help them. So what do we do with that? I don't know. I'll think about that. Maybe I'll come back to that question. Now, if a relationship is good, or if the relationship goal is to benefit the other person, where do we stop the pleasing the person part? Okay, so if like I said, any relationship that is based on true love is always to benefit the other. It's always to benefit the other. The moment you start thinking of them benefiting you, you destroy the relationship. The moment you start placing expectation on relationship, you destroy the relationship. So if you discover that, okay, now I get it. My reason for being in a relationship is to help the other person, not to please the other person, to benefit the other person. They are different things. So to benefit the other person means to move them forward in the way you know, based on your limited knowledge. You're not all-knowing, but based on your limited knowledge, the benefit, the reason why you are in the relationship is to bless that person, to help them move forward. So what you do is you continue to do that as long as they are willing to receive it. Now, sometimes what they want that will please them is not good for them. You don't give it. You give what you believe is good for them, and you open yourself up for discussion and fellowship based on what you understand. So as long as you are in that space, you will be able to relate. You'll be able to grow the relationship. Even if his relationship is toxic, not toxic, it's tough. The people are not talking to each other anymore. I've seen that. I've seen that where two people are living in the home. They are married, but they don't talk to each other. For weeks, months, years. They just talk about business. Well, it's time to pay the school fees of the children. Where are we going to pay from? I'll send you the money. And they go. That's it. That's how they discuss. For years. It can happen. And if somebody like that hears this message and wants to turn around that relationship, it's not difficult. You just start from where you are and begin to make a difference. If it's the man that decides, begin to care, begin to pay attention to the woman, and begin to speak to her heart, and begin to see how she's doing and be involved with her. Send her a message, And once you start that process, the things begin to rotate. But you can't stay alone. You got to find somebody who is going to pour love into you, so that you also don't get drained. Because if you get drained, you're going to react. You must react. Everybody needs love. So that's why I always encourage, once you begin to move in this direction, find somebody to share your life with. You can call them, I made up my mind, I'm not going to be attacking anymore, but you know what? This week, I don't know what happened. My husband said something and I took off. I just said all the things in my mind and I really feel ashamed of myself, blah, 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 blah. You see that? See, when you do that, when you have that kind of person in your life, your marriage will move forward. Why? Because you are receiving love, unconditional love, which you can then go back and carry out and continue to be strong in the relationship that you're trying to build. And if it's relationship with parents, then your spouse may be the one that will help you with it. And on like that. So next question, not expecting anything gives you the habit of not receiving. How do you not become proud? Okay, so when I say not expecting anyone to do anything for you, does not mean that people won't do things for you. What it means is that when they do things for you, you will be very appreciative of it. Everything they do is you appreciate it. They will do. People in your life that love you would always do something for you. And so whatever they do, you appreciate it. You thank them for it, and you are happy to have it. You can ask even for help. And if they help you, you appreciate it. And that way you become somebody that people want to have around them. You know, if anybody is walking in this truth, what happens is that you become somebody that people want to have around them. Because you appreciate the people around you. Every little thing they do to you is precious to you because you didn't expect them to do it. You didn't expect them to do it. And so when they do it, you appreciate it. Not just the one we force ourselves to say thank you, not the mechanical thank you, but the real heartfelt gratitude. So I think I've done all the questions, and our time is almost up. I'll just want to wrap up with 3 books that I would like you to look at. 3 books that I would like you to look at. It's going to come up in a few minutes, and then I'll invite Pastor GB. The first book is called Real Love by Dr. Greg. It's a very good book. We'll give you more details and about what we've been talking about. Second book is Love and Respect. And then the last one is 5 Love Languages. These 3 books have been very useful to me in my walk as I've developed my love relationship, and I've worked with this. And I really encourage you to find, if you can find them, buy them, and try to read them. Tomorrow, I'm going to be talking about some of the challenges that we may face in our marriages or relationships that can be spiritually discerned, that can come from spiritual problems. I'll also touch briefly on the love languages, and then I would want to spend time to pray. I may also, if time permits, also talk about singles. Some people mentioned today in the feedback that I need to talk a little bit about getting into relationships that last, marriage relationships. Why do you discern who to marry, who not to marry? I'll touch briefly on that. We'll pray, and then we'll also pray for marriages, how to really spiritually charge your marriage and turn things around. We'll talk about that tomorrow. We'll review some of the things we talked about today. So tomorrow, let's come. We're going to pack the whole thing together, and we're going to complete it. So come with friends, bring people. We're trusting God that everyone that comes tomorrow, God would bless with a gift, with a spiritual blessing. I'm going to be talking about that tomorrow. Any final questions? If anybody still has anything, I'm going to ask Pastor GB to please come up as we close. Feedback, please give us feedback again today. We really appreciated the feedback yesterday. It was helpful to note some of the things that we wanted to talk about. God bless you. Thank you, Pastor GB.
That was wonderful. Thank you very much, Pastor Ade. I believe every one of us, was blessed. So you have the feedback forms. It's very helpful for us. We'll appreciate you taking some seconds to just let us know what you want to hear more about. If you still have questions, I'm sure you can also use that to ask. While we do that also, you already have envelopes, whatever you feel like giving back, feel free to drop it in there to appreciate this work and push it forward. Just a few announcements. There's going to be a few refreshments and some bottles of water for those of us who like some just after the session tonight. So don't be